Alright, just been listening to a little bit of talk back here in Auckland, TULLOCH Clan channel, and I thought I would come in and have a chat to you about the topic that's been going on the radio. It's quite an odd topic, but they're talking about the fact in hospitals in New Zealand, doctors, medical staff are no longer allowed to call people elderly. So supposedly this term elderly is offensive. Is it offensive? I don't know. Is this political correctness gone mad? Or is being called elderly an offensive term? That is the question. And it's something that I hadn't even really thought about too deeply before. But I had a good listen for about half an hour, and now I'm going to give my 2 cents worth on it to you. What I took from it was that, you get people who were in their late 50s or their 60s or something like that, and they were referred to as elderly, and they said that it actually physically shook them up. It made them feel like bad or inferior, or like that they were not able to do stuff or not functioning that well. So perhaps just that term elderly is not very nice, but I didn't realize that. I was a little bit naive to that. I didn't understand that it was a offensive term. I never would have known that just as a normal person, because I guess I'm not at the age yet. Okay, then the conversation went down this pathway of what is elderly? Well, what is elderly? Elderly, and then the general consensus from people was elderly is a level of functioning, a level of capability, a level of activity. What can you do? What can you do with your life? So if you're out there doing it, hustling, cycling, paddling, yogaing, meeting your friends, socializing, I guess they're saying that that's not the behavior of an elderly person. But if you are, you could potentially be younger, but you're on the couch, you're decrepit, you're broken down, you're not doing anything, you're staying at home, you're a hermit, therefore you are elderly. I think that was what was coming out of this. That elderly is a state of being, and a oh. Excuse me, a bit of a state of mind. So being elderly. Now, what comes out of this is that society is changing. We can't really just put labels on people anymore and put them into these categories, because people who get put into categories, it gets quite offensive for them. Okay, so we now have to refer to elderly people, well, what was formerly known as elderly people, to older adults, I believe it is. Sorry, excuse me, team, I'm just clearing my nostrils. Older adults. So the language is changing, society is changing. New Zealand is quite forward thinking in this way. We're always quite quick to act. I guess, it doesn't hurt people to change it. So for everybody else who's now going to have to change, it doesn't hurt us to say it a different way, so therefore we don't mind doing it over here because it makes those people feel better. I'm sure other places or other people would just think, whatever, I'm just going to call them elderly. They're probably the same people who are still calling, disabled people handicapped. Okay, they're calling them handicapped. So I think it's good. It's good that we're listening to these people, that it's just being polite, really, isn't it? It's like someone saying, hey, I don't like to be called that, can you please call me this? Yeah, sure, no problem. That's no problem. It's not that hard. I'm sure even a heap of elderly people, or people who were elderly who are now older adults, probably don't care either. But I guess that small group, it gets them worked up. They don't feel good. They're feeling, about it. We'll make the effort. We'll change our language for you. As long as you appreciate it. Okay, that is it. Elderly people. Yeah, we're going to have to change that term. That is no longer a term that we use. It is now called older adults. So get used to it. Start using it.